Pulled out my fuse. Excellent. Okay, so I'm back on it. I had some free time today. I don't even know what today is, Tuesday. And it's 6:51. So the other day I powered this up and I tried to crank it, but I couldn't get anything to happen. I didn't even hear anything. So what I did today was, well, how do I know when the computer is powered up other than checking for volts? So what I did was I put the wait to start light on. So when I power up the computer, let me do that now with my tester because I have a problem with the power here. I'm not getting any power out of that first fuse, and I'm supposed to when I turn the key on, or maybe I gotta look at the wiring diagram again. If I'm not mistaken, that's supposed to be power on all the time, but I'm not getting anything out of it. So that's causing my computer not to turn on, and I need to figure that out now. But remember, I need to double check the harness over there, but I know I continuity checked it. It should be all right. So I got to find out why there's no power there. But in the meantime, I can go around it and make sure the computer is getting power by doing this. Yeah. So now I know the Cummins computer is now on because that was the wait to start light. So I'm gonna try to start it. I'm gonna have to use the fuel pump wire. I'm on my ladder here. I'm gonna have to try to use my wire that I don't actually have connected for the fuel pump just directly on here and crank it and see if it'll start. There's only one problem. Doing it this way, I don't have a way to hold the phone and do it at the same time. So I'm going to try to strap the phone here and see, maybe I can use a, I got one of those squeezy clamps. I'm gonna try to do that with my squeezy clamp there. What I ended up doing, I put a little bit of steering fluid in there and I hooked up the cooler because I don't want that to be spinning with at least some kind of lubricant on there. And the tranny, hopefully the other gentleman who owned this, hopefully he put that pump in the tranny, pardon me, pump, the torque converter. Hopefully he put that torque converter in properly. Turn it until it, you know, drops in with a thunk. So here goes nothing. And what I did was I just wrapped this in itself. I had an extra fitting that fit in there perfectly. So let's crank her up. If she starts, great. If not, great. All right, here goes nothing. Oh. All right, here goes something. The problem I'm gonna face right now is I'm gonna need to be able to power up the computer and then power up the fuel pump. So here goes. I don't know if you can hear the fuel pump running. Hit the starter. Well, that didn't start. Now you don't hear any puffing. So these ejectors might need to be bled, but let's keep trying. a no-go. How about we give it a little ether, not much, just a little. Now I don't know whether or not the VP is on, and it should be on. I didn't check. Alright, let's try again before the ether wears off. Hope it don't blow up. To start on ether. We wanted to start on ether. I need to check whether or not this the VP is getting power. Alright, I just checked to verify the VP44 is definitely getting power, and it is. And it tried to start on ether. Just a little bit of ether. I don't want to give it too much. I'm going to try to start it again, but I already know my problem is probably fuel related already. So let's try it again. I'm probably going to have to crack the injectors and verify that the fuel is coming out. What I just realized, I've got the covers on the turbo. Now that wouldn't stop it, but it's good to take it off. All right, let's try this again. After this, I'm going to crack the injectors. What is that puffing? Oh, that's the vacuum pump. All right, so we're back on it, and I had a problem the other day trying to get this stuff powered up, and I couldn't tell whether or not the engine computer was powered up. So what I ended up doing, I put an LED. Let's see if I can get in there. I put an LED, so when the key is turned on, the LED lights up, which the only way the LED lights up is because the engine computer is kicking out voltage to turn on the VP44. So now I know the VP44 has power and the engine computer has power. All I have to do is look at this LED. Now of course I still have to I gotta wrap it, but I just wanted to add that in. The problem though, I normally like to do my swaps like I did on my common rail, but my common rail is an 01. It doesn't have all those fancy computer security features on it. This 2010 does. So right now the engine computer, when you go to the dash, there's a flashing light with a vehicle and a lock. So let's see here. There it is. So that's a problem. So I'm wondering if that's also going to block the fuel pump, because right now the engine computer it gives ground. It gives a ground to a relay. The relay that goes in the back. Somebody had already updated it also to this one compared to all the other ones, which are original. It kills those two 20 amp yellow fuses there. So without the engine computer sending the ground and turn on that relay, it's not going to turn on. So although I like to put the power of the engine computer on the same terminal that the truck would have as the engine computer for the original Ford computer, I'm probably not gonna be able to do that. I'm probably gonna have to do the same thing I did with the VP44 pump, where I put its own fuse, 20 amps, and I put a relay. So I'm gonna do the same thing with the Cummins turn on power, because I don't know the details on the security feature, and right now I don't really want to play with that, and then I gotta call buddies up and try to get a handle on how that resources go. I'm actually a Volkswagen guy, so it probably would be easier for me to play with an earlier Volkswagen than it is with this stuff, because I have an old computer for like the Mark 4s and maybe the 5s, and I can program keys and computers on the 4th generation, assuming my computer scanner actually still works. Anyway, so that's the problem that I ran into, where I couldn't get any power. Now, I haven't tried to crank it today. I need to actually charge the battery because they seemed like they were weak yesterday. I haven't tried to crank it today because I need to see whether or not that fuel is going to come out of the injectors. So these are all actually cracked. All the well, majority of them are cracked. I think one I couldn't get to because of where it was positioned. I think I may have to take off the air horn, and I'm actually going to turn the air horn. I saw someone else, they had theirs turned, and they had just enough room to make the clearance. So I'm gonna turn it because I want it turned anyway. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So now that the VP is gonna have power to it, or verified power, I'm going to add fuel, but not today because it's like a partially raining day. So next time I crank this thing, I'm thinking I should see fuel come out of here, given that the VP44 has power. But we will see. So I had to take care of one problem, which is verifying the computer is turned on, and now it is, because of a relay that is controlled by the Ford PCM. So now I gotta, like I said, I'm going to go and get another standalone fuse, another standalone relay, and power that up. So when the key's turned on, they're turned on. Wait a minute, no, I actually messed that up. The power for the main power for the engine computer needs to have straight power all the time, and then there's a key turn on power. So I just need a fuse. I just need a fuse actually to wire it in direct power. That'll be it. Okay, here's a quick video of what I'm talking about. So here is the original Ford PCM relay, and it gets its power from this 50 amp fuse that's in the that's hot all the time, and it's in the battery junction box, or next to the battery box underneath the hood, the one I showed you. So this one here, this is all power, right? And then it gives power to the block, the relay block, or pardon me, the fuse block, the junction box block, but it's feeding that same fuse, 76 20 amp, and is also feeding this one here, which is another 20 amp. That's the other one that I showed you. So, and the computer also the Ford computer also used that. So what I did was I tapped in, I believe this one here, B, we'd have to go to page 8. Let's see. All right, so here we're on page 8. Now, this is the high pressure fuel pump. This is the one that powers up the injectors, or pressurize the injectors for the Ford. So we're not using that anymore. So this power here, 20 amps, is available because it also powers up some other stuff. It powers up some other stuff as well. Now, so we're trying to use it, but the problem is though, it gets its power, B, it gets its power from that same stupid relay that the engine computer controls. So I couldn't utilize this stream right here, right? I couldn't utilize this fuse because the engine computer, it's what's controlling it. So now I'm gonna, and I'd rather use a fuse like this, because like I said, I did the same thing with my the 2001 Ford that I have, but that one doesn't have all that fancy security features. So I could take, like what I did on that one, I used a fuse that was powering up the, I forget what they call it. It's kind of like the FICM, but it sits inside the I think it's called the IDM module, if I'm not mistaken. So I was no longer using that power source, but the fuse is still there. So what I did was I used that power source to power up something on that engine. I forget what it was exactly. I might have used it to power up the computer, but it's easy for me to find in the future why the engine computer is not powered up. But now that I have to use a different method, I'm gonna have to use a standalone fuse, which I don't like to, I mean, I can do it, it could look fine, but it's just more, it's not neat. It's not nice and neat, and I'd rather have it nice and neat. So that's the only reason why I like to do it this way, because then you don't see, you know, extra wires flying all over the place. But, you know, it is what it is. Either I gotta play with the Ford computer and then play with the security feature and find out why the Ford computer is blocking, you know, what's blocking, or we can just bypass it. And right now, we don't want to fix or resolve two problems. I just want to get the truck to run and get that rocking. Afterwards, we can figure out why the powertrain is locking the truck out from starting. So I might have to do the same thing with the fuel pump relay, but I'm not there just yet because I haven't finalized the wiring on that just yet, but I'll get there. Anyway, so that's my quick update for you folks. All right, so I got a quick little follow-up here. I had to redo the powers like I told you. This is going to be the that was the engine computer. No, that's the VP44. VP44 engine computer, and that's going to be the fuel pump. So wrapped everything up, and I'm done. I'm gonna zip tie these, of course. And you see my two LEDs. So when I turn on, right now it's when I turn it on, basically the one will light up and the other one will just be the wait to start, but that'll let me know that at least the engine computer has power, and that's a good quick input instead of going to go get multimeters and test lights and stuff like that. Of course, I still have the Ford wires to install. Next thing to do is need to get communication with the engine computer from the OBD port, and that is a little bit of a trick right now because this is an older computer. So 2000, if I'm not mistaken, or the VP44 is an older engine computer setup. So that's a different type of protocol compared to my my common rail, which is an 06, which runs on CAN bus, which is just 2 little wires, which is a whole lot easier, in my opinion, than messing around with this thing, because we have multiple things to work on here, and just PCMs, and this of course don't have the PCM, but there's multiple ways around it. I'm gonna try to see if I can get this resolved today. I'll show you what I've come up with if it works. Gonna try this OBD link. Somebody else said that it worked for them, and so we're gonna see if it's gonna work for me. I got it off of Amazon, and I had tried a bunch of my old connectors. I had old OBD2 connectors I pulled out of the drawer, but they didn't connect. All right, so I just got this motor started. What I end up having to do, I've got a 2000 engine harness, but I have a 99 inch computer. The 99 computer has a crank and a cam sensor. The 2000 harness only has a cam sensor. So what I end up doing, I end up rewiring. Right now I have temporary, let me show you. I got temporary wires currently set up. Switching the cam and crank. And what I've also done, I think I showed you in my other video. What I also did, I pretty much put an LED light. You can see the light on right now. When I turn on the key, the engine computer, I can tell it has power because of that LED is on, because the engine computer is what's given the ground to turn on that LED. So, because I'm getting the power through for that relay to turn that LED on, pardon me, not even a relay, the wire, the engine computer has to power up the VP44, and I'm using the VP44 power that's coming from the relay to illuminate that light. So you get what I'm saying? It's a circle. So the engine computer has to be on to give the ground to turn on the VP44, which has to light up that LED because it's on the same power source. Anyway, I don't want to run it too long because I don't have any coolant in there, as well as you know, we have other things here like the water pump and the other things spinning. I don't want too much stuff spinning too long, but I do want to show that it's now running. So it's running now. I'm going to finalize these wires, and this bad boy is going up for sale after I make all that pretty, of course. Okay, here we try this again. Second take on a startup. See if I can get this this to sit here while I do that though. All right, once I get it started, I'll try to run down here and grab it. All right, let's crank her up. Now what I'm gonna have to do, I'm gonna have to jump down and run and turn it off because I don't want it running too long, like I was saying. And I'm the only person here. I've already tried pulling it from the fuel pump power, but that didn't work. So I guess I could even pull the fuse that powers up the coming computer. Let me see. It's gonna be this one here. Let's pull that off. Okay. All right. Okay, so I have my fuse ready to pull, so I don't have to run too far. All right, let's put on my temporary intake here, so we don't have too much garbage flying inside of it. And let's crank her up. Let's kill it. All right, pulled out my fuse. Excellent. Before I end the day, I wanted to give you folks a good idea of how I got this stuff rocking here. So I've got the what am I talking about? I've got the fast hooked up to a relay, and the relay is hooked up to a fuse, and the fuse is hooked up to the battery. That relay turn on is connected to the where's it at? It's connected to the turn on, the original lift pump has a small 12-volt power source, which is coming from the engine computer. If you look on a wiring diagram, I don't know the pin number off the top of my head, but what I did, I'm using that wire there. Now, I had it nice and neat, but I ended up having to pull it out to do my little new test here because I had suspicions about the crank sensor and the cam sensors being in the wrong position. Anyway, so I'm using that power wire there, which is the computer is powering up the relay, which is turning on the pump. Now, the only way, this is my conclusion, I don't know this is for fact, but this is what I used to do when I used to work at the dealer. I used to do check engine lights all day, and they didn't give me anything else to do except problem cars. Anyway, so I believe the engine computer needs to see the crank signal. When the engine sees the crank signal, it will power up the fuel, right? Power up the fuel pump. So that's how I end up realizing the engine computer was not seeing a cam signal because the fuel pump wasn't turning on. Make sense? All right, moving on. So the next thing now is this is now running, and I could do more today, but I'm gonna do a victory off day and I'm done because I was thinking about this and playing with it, and I keep coming out here. Now, one of the other problems that we also remember from before, this motor or tranny, either the tranny's got to come off or this motor's got to come out, because there's an oil leak back here, and the only thing that's back here that should be there's an O-ring for where the cam goes. Maybe that is leaking, but I don't think so. I think it's the adapter that holds the rear main seal. I think they didn't put any oil on, oil. They didn't put a good sealant, or they don't have a good seal, because the last person who had this, they told me they bought the motor and it was rebuilt. So oh, you saw that? Did you see that drop? It just dropped there. So that's another good reason why I don't want to run it too long, but it now works. So we've definitely got a good little base here to complete. But again, you know, you don't know what you get when you buy it from somebody, and if they don't do it right, then you got to come in here and clean it up. And right now,
I don't really have the time to pull this back out and do it properly, because when I did my common rail, I did all the seals, everything before I put it in the truck, and I end up running it on the ground for a little while before I even put it in the truck. As you know, after I did the seals, I did a test, and I mean, I changed the oil pan gasket, I changed the rear main seal, I've even added the main bearing, what is that? I added a new race. I forget what they're called. But anyway, I had the new race where it's like a little ring. If anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, it goes on. You know where the rear main seal is, you know, is part rubber or whatever, and it has to spin. The crank has to spin on that rubber. Well, sometimes you'll get like a little burn mark or whatever there. So just in case I had an issue, because I saw a slight, I didn't feel anything, but this is over a year now, I don't even remember. I don't remember feeling anything, but I didn't want to take any chances because it was a rear main. So I just put a new bearing on top of it, a new race. I forget what it's called. I'm not real good at remembering stuff in the moment, but I usually, you know, I know what I'm talking about. All right, so tomorrow or another day, I'm going to, or the first thing I should do, I'm going to finalize these cam and the crank wires that I end up adding today. This side is pretty much done with the wiring harness. It's only the forward harness that I need to connect to everything. So next time I work on this, I'll button up these wires over here, make that look good, and then I'll start working on the Ford engine computer here. I'll start working on the Ford engine computer here so we get all that squared away. But making progress, it's running, and yeah, victory.